There's something different about a man who's already walked through hell. His eyes don't flinch anymore. His soul doesn't tremble at the sound of threats, because he's been burned before, and fire no longer frightens the ashes. You think pain breaks him? No. Pain reforges him. Pain sharpens what was once soft. Pain teaches him the language of silence, and silence is where monsters are born. When you hurt someone who's already shattered, you don't create pain. You awaken something else, something that doesn't beg anymore, something that doesn't cry anymore, something that does not forgive. There's a storm that doesn't roar at first. It waits, it breathes, it watches. A quiet storm is always the most dangerous one. Men like us, we don't announce our war. We build it brick by brick in the dark. We sharpen our rage in silence. We let them think they've won, while we become something they'll never see coming. I've seen what betrayal does to a man. I've seen how it strips him down to nothing. No crown, no armor, no smile, just raw bones and rage. But here's the prophecy no one tells you. A broken man who stops pleading for mercy becomes something they can't control. He stops chasing people. He starts chasing purpose. He doesn't ask why anymore. He builds. You can always tell when a man's soul has crossed that invisible line. His voice slows down. His steps turn heavier. His laughter dies. Not because he's weak, but because softness doesn't live here anymore. This isn't about revenge. Revenge is too small for what's coming. This is about transformation. This is about resurrection through ruin. The kind of change no prayer can undo. The kind of rise no enemy can contain. They thought breaking you was the end, but they didn't understand. You were never made of glass. You were made of steel wrapped in silence. And steel doesn't break. It bends, it folds, and then it cuts back. They mistook your stillness for weakness. They mistook your silence for surrender. But silence is just rage learning to speak in a language sharper than words. And when it speaks, the world remembers. Right now, somewhere out there, a man is sitting alone. His fists clenched, his jaw tight, his chest holding a fire he can't explain. He isn't weak. He isn't finished. He's becoming. You are that man, the one who trusted the wrong faces, the one who gave everything and watched it all turn to ash. And yet here you are, still breathing, still standing. You have no idea how dangerous that makes you. This isn't the story of your fall. This is the story of your awakening. This is the moment the world realizes that the quiet man they left in the ruins wasn't dying. He was building his crown out of bones. Every betrayal was a brick. Every scar was a blade. Every silence, a war cry in the making. So let them laugh. Let them mock. Let them think. The fire is gone. Because when a broken man rises, he doesn't knock, he conquers. Every strong man has a beginning that no one talks about. Before the storm, before the fire, before the crown, there was a soft heart, a heart that trusted too easily. No one is born a wolf. He becomes one. Because the world teaches him how to bleed and how to survive it. In the beginning, he loved loudly. He believed. He gave everything. His time, his loyalty, his soul. He thought loyalty was a shield. but it was the knife they used to reach his heart. Betrayal doesn't start loud. It starts with small cuts, a promise broken here, a silence where there should have been a voice, a look that says more than 1,000 lies. It starts quietly until the quiet starts killing. They never notice the moment a man begins to break. The world doesn't hear the sound of bones cracking inside the soul. Because men like us break silently. We carry the pain like a locked war chest. We smile while the storm eats us alive. And the cruelest thing about it, we keep giving, even as we bleed. We keep trusting, even as the blade twists deeper. Because we believe that love, loyalty, brotherhood still means something. Until it doesn't, they will betray you while looking you in the eye. They will tear you down with hands that once held you up, and they will smile like nothing happened. That's when something inside you begins to die. Not your body, not your spirit, but the part of you that begged to be understood. And the world calls it weakness. But it isn't weakness. It's the birth of a new beast. A man doesn't break in one day. He breaks over time, slowly, quietly, like a fortress cracking brick by brick in the dark. And when he finally collapses, no one's there to see it. No one's there to care. Only him. Only the silence. Only the taste of his own blood as he swallows the scream. You can always see it in the eyes of a man who's reached that point. A certain stillness, a hollow that isn't empty, but waiting. Waiting for the rise, waiting for the storm, waiting for the day he stops pretending. Pain has a way of turning soft men into something the world fears. Because when he finally stops caring, he stops holding back. And when he stops holding back, the world will remember his name. That's how wolves are made. Not through glory, through pain, through nights no one saw, through scars no one asked about, through betrayals no one apologized for. And when he finally stands, he isn't the same man. He's colder, he's harder, and deep down, he doesn't need saving anymore. There's always that one moment, one silence that's louder than a scream, one face you swore you'd die for, that turns away like you were never real. It doesn't come with warning. It doesn't knock. It cuts deep, clean, straight through everything you ever believed in. Betrayal doesn't just break you. It rewrites you. It burns down the man you were and leaves behind a shadow with fire in its chest. The people you'd bleed for will watch you bleed. The hands you held in loyalty will be the first to push the blade. And when you finally look into their eyes, you'll see it. The truth you were too loyal to accept. That's when it happens. The silence. The kind that doesn't hurt anymore. Because pain has already turned into something else. Rage doesn't always roar. Sometimes it sits quietly, waiting to be unleashed. This is the cut that changes everything. Not because of what they did, but because of what it unlocks inside you. The man who once begged disappears. The boy who trusted dies. And in his place, something ancient rises. Colder than steel, sharper than vengeance. Hunger dressed as silence. You stop asking why. You stop trying to make them understand. You stop trying to be heard. Because something far more dangerous has entered the room. Your wrath, wearing the mask of patience. The betrayal is not just their crime. It is your awakening. It is the moment your blood remembers what it means to fight, to walk alone, to rule your own war. They thought they were cutting you down, but they were carving out the part of you that needed them. And when that part is gone, you're untouchable. They will one day regret it. Not because you begged them to come back, but because they'll watch the kingdom you built without them. They'll watch the silence they gave you turn into the storm that carries your name. This is the turning point. This is where soft hands turn into iron fists. This is where loyalty dies and power is born. A betrayed man doesn't seek revenge. He becomes it. And when he returns, it's never to talk. It's to end things. After betrayal, there is silence, not peace. Silence, the kind that feels like standing inside a burning house, but no one else can see the flames. That silence is where the monster is born. It doesn't roar, it doesn't beg, it listens, it hardens, it waits. This is the season no one talks about. The season where you disappear, where the world forgets your name, where the pain turns into a furnace, and you into a blade. There's a moment when a man stops explaining himself, stops trying to prove his worth, stops trying to be understood. That's when everything changes. They think you've given up, but you haven't. You're building, quietly, ruthlessly, brick by brick, alone. Every gym session, every sleepless night, every silence you endure, every scar they gave you, it all becomes your forge. And the man who walks out of that fire is nothing like the man who went in. Transformation doesn't need applause. It doesn't need witnesses. It happens in the shadows, in pain no one else feels, in battles no one else sees. They left you alone, thinking it would destroy you. They were right, it did, but not in the way they expected. It destroyed the soft parts, the forgiving parts, the boy who waited, the man who begged, gone, erased. And what's left? A storm with a heartbeat, a king with no crown. Yet, a fire that doesn't need a reason to burn. You start to move differently, speak less, think sharper. Every bruise turns into a lesson. Every wound becomes a weapon. You stop chasing love. You chase power. You stop needing people. You become the thing they'll need one day. This is the part where the storm builds in silence. Every second is a hammer. Every step, a declaration. And when the world finally looks up, they won't find the man they betrayed. They'll find the monster they made. You don't announce a storm. You become it. And then, one day, the silence ends, not with noise, but with presence. The kind that walks into a room and everything changes. The man they buried returns, but he's not the same man anymore. He's colder, he's heavier, he carries the storm inside his chest. And when he moves, the world listens. They thought you'd stay broken. They thought the darkness would eat you alive. But you learn to drink from it. You learn to turn pain into iron, betrayal into fuel, and silence into war. You don't beg anymore. You don't explain anymore. You don't wait for them to understand. You simply rise. Every sleepless night forged your armor. Every scar sharpened your edge. Every tear carved a kingdom out of your rage. Now, when you speak, it isn't with hope, it's with power. They see it in your eyes. That look, that warning, the quiet threat that says, I remember. Every face, every word, every dagger they thought you'd forget. You didn't forget. You built an empire out of it. And now they stand before a man they no longer recognize. Because the man they betrayed died. This one was born in fire. This rise isn't about revenge. It's about reclaiming what was yours. It's about walking like a king through the ruins they left behind. Unforgiving, unshaken, unstoppable. People fear noise, but what they should fear is silence walking with power. No explanations, no warnings, just a storm dressed like a man. They look at you differently now, not because you changed for them, but because you changed without them. Because they thought you'd never make it out, and now they can't reach where you stand. You've outgrown the pain. You've outlived the betrayal. And every step you take now is a reminder. You're not coming back for closure. You're coming back for everything. You don't chase. You conquer. You don't forgive. You outlast. You don't talk. You let the rise speak for itself. This is the part where the world realizes they didn't create a victim. They created a storm. And storms don't beg to be understood. They destroy. Regret doesn't speak with words. It speaks with silence, with the way they look at you now, with the way their smile dies the moment your eyes meet theirs, because the man they betrayed is gone, and the storm they awakened is standing right in front of them. This is the moment they finally understand what they created. Not the day they left, not the day they lied, but the day you rose. They thought they hurt a man, but they forged a king. A king who doesn't need validation. A king who doesn't need their apology. A king who builds empires from ashes. They don't regret the betrayal. They regret who you became because of it. They regret watching the weak man they knew turn into something they can't touch anymore. Something they can't control anymore. Something that looks back at them like a god staring down from a throne of ruin. You don't have to speak. Your silence screams louder than any war cry. They feel it in their bones. The weight of your rise, the gravity of your presence, the price of their betrayal. They used to walk ahead of you. Now they can't even stand beside you. Because betrayal builds distance no apology can close, and power builds walls no hands can break. You're no longer chasing love. You're sitting on your throne, built from every night you suffered alone. Every wound they left open, every moment they counted you out. This is their regret. Watching the man they buried become something untouchable. They will try to return. They always do. They will smile. They will pretend to care. But you'll see it for what it is. Not love, but fear. Not loyalty, but guilt. And that's when it hits them. You don't need them anymore. You outgrew the pain. You outgrew them. This is the climax. The moment they look up at a storm they thought they could destroy, and realize they didn't just lose you. They lost their place in your empire. You won't shout. You won't curse. You won't waste a single breath explaining what they already know. You'll do what kings do. Sit and let regret eat them alive. Because nothing is louder than the silence of a man who doesn't care anymore. Every story of power begins in silence, not in glory, not in light, but in the darkness where no one was watching, where no one believed, where pain whispered louder than hope. That's where you were born, not the man they loved, not the boy they betrayed, but the storm they never saw coming. They'll talk about your rise like it happened overnight. They'll say you got lucky. They'll pretend they didn't see the nights you bled in silence, the battles you fought alone, the fire you swallowed to keep your soul alive. But legends aren't written when people cheer. They're written when no one is left to clap. When a man walks through hell alone and comes out wearing fire like a crown, you became the monster they feared, the king they underestimated, the storm they tried to silence. And now your name carries weight. You no longer live to prove anyone wrong. You live to rule the empire built from your pain. You live to breathe in silence that no longer breaks you. You live like a man who became the prophecy they laughed at. You see, pain doesn't destroy real men, it forges them. Betrayal doesn't end their story, it begins the legend. And silence isn't weakness, it's the sound of a kingdom being built. They'll regret touching a man who was already broken, because broken men don't rebuild the same way. They rise different, they rise dangerous, they rise untouchable. You are not a victim, you are the aftermath. You are not the man they left behind. You are the king they will never reach again. And from this moment on, every scar on your body is not a reminder of pain, but a weapon. Every betrayal, a throne. Every silence, a crown. Let them remember you in whispers. Let your name haunt their guilt. Let your rise echo louder than their excuses. Because a broken man who rises doesn't just return, he reigns. He was broken once. Now, he breaks kingdoms.